Well, first of all, we have to ask ourselves if the American administration reaction is productive. And I would have to say that I wouldn't say the majority of the Iranian population, but many Iranians considered the support given by Trump as something unnatural. They claim that someone who bans the entrance of Iranian students into the United States should not sympathize with the Iranian nation. Someone who refers to the Persian Gulf as the Arabian Gulf, or considers Iran as a nation of terrorists, is not in the place to support the Iranian nation.
Negar, is Trump's reaction to what's going on helpful, or is it more hurtful?
I agree with your guess. That's what Iranians are calling hypocritical. Essentially, what the travel ban, which is concerns of terrorists coming into the U.S., the good people of Iran, which Donald Trump has been calling them, have been just ordinary citizens, mothers and fathers whose children are studying in the U.S., are banned from visiting them, from weddings, from births of children. They're being called terrorists, and now in his tweets they're called the good people of Iran, and there's claims of support for the protesters. I think the Iranians that I talk to see that as hypocritical, and at some point stepping up this rhetoric against the establishment and in support of the protesters might have an adverse effect. When you look at histories of dissent and opposition in Iran, the establishment has been quick, the Islamic Republic has been quick at pointing fingers at the opposition and calling them agents of Iran's enemies, U.S., Israel, intelligence forces of the West. So if this type of rhetoric keeps coming from the U.S. government, it might actually hurt people in courts and charges. Hundreds have been arrested, and it might have an adverse effect.
Speaking of Israel, what is the reaction, Raz, that we're getting from Prime Minister Netanyahu regarding this ongoing situation?
Well, again, Prime Minister Netanyahu for the last 2 or 3 years have tried to make a difference between the Iranian people and the Iranian regime. But eventually, many Iranians consider Netanyahu as the man responsible for the harsh sanctions against Iran, which hurt the ordinary citizens of Iran. So even if they don't like their regime, they keep saying, well, Netanyahu is not the man who can tell us what to do. He should mind his own business.